Finland. This is where you're coming from?
Yes, I'm in Finland right now.
Okay, sounds good to me. All right, everyone. So I'm here with an artist by the name of Mad Ice. He's coming from Finland. He's a music producer and a singer-songwriter. How are you, Mad Ice?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a great pleasure to have you today.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. I'm a man. I say always that I'm a man of many hearts, but that is basically the main thing that describes me best.
For today, that's what we're going to go with.
Yes. You know, when the sun comes out, everyone starts to smile. If we don't have sun, then everyone is not smiling. So now is a good time for us. We're happy.
People will start to come outdoors once the sun comes out.
Exactly. You go out a little bit, everyone is jogging, and then they start to have a little bit, some smile, you know. The sun
Very
affects,
nice.
which is a very good thing.
Very interesting how the nature really affects how we feel from the inside, right? But if we allow ourselves to be affected by our environment, you can't help but take in how it's being put out.
Exactly, yeah. But it's good now. At least it's getting warmer. It's been a cold winter, but you know, it wasn't too long, but very tough one. So we are happy at least to have the sun back.
Very nice. All right, Mad Ice. So let's talk about your new song, SINA. That's the title of the song, correct?
Yes, man. Yeah, SINA.
Can we talk a little bit about SINA and how it came about and how we got to putting the song out?
Yeah, SINA. I'm a little bit pronouncing it almost in a Finnish way. You know, in Finnish, when I say you, I say SINA. You know, and but SINA is a Swahili word which means I do not have or I don't have. So the title song is in Swahili, SINA. Now, I wrote it like 4.5 years ago. It was basically inspired by the relationship I was in by then. That's how the song came by, you know. I sat down and realized that there's a lot of things that maybe I need to talk about, but in a very brief way. Things that sometimes our partners think might be that they don't affect us as men, you know. It's the way we represent ourselves. Usually we are very much, or we do not show if we are hurt or we are affected. We just usually do it in the bedroom, just alone, or somewhere in the car. You keep quiet and you're just, you know, there.
The strong and silent type.
Exactly. So SINA is just telling someone that I do not have an iron heart as you think. You know, the pain you go through, I go through it too. When we fight, it hurts, you know. And when you say I don't care, it even hurts more, because the reality is, you know, we do care, even if we won't say it, you know. Mm-hmm. So that is what SINA is all about, you know. And 4.5 years ago, when I wrote it and then recorded, then I sat down with my fellow producer and I'm like, no, I don't think we're releasing this song. And he's like, why? It is ready. I'm like, no, it is not ready. Let's let it be. So 2000, like 2 years ago, I released a different song, Mi Bebe, with featuring Gina, who is one of the top hip hop artists in Tanzania. And then I came back in Finland and we sat down again last year and we're like, hey, it's time to release a new song. And it's like, let's go and make some like maybe club bang. And I'm like, no, I don't think like, I don't feel like I want to do a club banger. It's like, why not? You're good in this stuff. I'm like, no, I really want to go back to my old kind of like the 2011, where I had decided from then that I'm just going to be more soft, easy, give out that soulful stuff. I'm like, can you open the files of SINA? It's like, man, it's been a while, 3 years. How you want me to dig? I'm like, yeah, open it. Now we listened to it and I told him, do you hear what I hear right now? And it's like, yeah, you're right. We didn't release it. Now I understand why you didn't want us to release it. I'm like, exactly. Now can we fix this and then release it? So we sat down, fixed the song. And at the end of the day, there it was. December already. But then we were like, no, we cannot release it in December unless it's Christmas. If it says anything about Christmas, otherwise on the radio stations, it's not going to get an airplay that it deserves. So we waited, and Fabe we released it because it's a song about love. It's a song about relationships. Then it has now its airplay and it's moving really well. So I'm really happy, but that's the journey about that song.
That's truly amazing that you allowed yourself to sit on the track and allowed it to season and go with the times. And then you yourself matured as a person and just went through different experiences, but then you wanted to channel this back. You said, let's open this file. Let's see. You wanted to do that because sometimes it takes even longer. You said 4 years. Sometimes it takes a little bit less time, a little bit more time, but it's interesting that you felt like something was calling to you to get back into that song. Can I ask, were you still in your relationship that you were in when you wrote the song at the time? Were you still writing it as you were writing the song, or did the song happen afterwards?
I wrote it afterwards. I wrote it after the relationship, and I just sat down and one day got my guitar, and then I'm playing, and I'm like, okay, things that are coming out. I realized these are things about my relationship. Usually, I do not write about my relationships, and I hate it. But then, if it is something very inspiring, and I know it will inspire other people out there, then I try to use the situations or the experience that I've gone through. Then I just use that as an inspiration. And that's what I did exactly. So.
Absolutely. I mean, those are the songs that affect us the most if we really think about it. And it's very often that we hear these musicians these songs that we know and love so dear to us, we ask them about those times when they wrote the songs, and they say, if I think about the time when I wrote that song, it was the darkest period of my life.
Usually that's how it is. I write a lot when I'm like not feeling so well or when I'm down, and there is a lot that comes, I don't mean to say that I don't write when I'm happy, but when I'm not unhappy, when I'm not happy, that is the time that I write the most,
Right.
One of my friends one day said, it was like, dude, I think we need to get you Heartbroken more to write us hit songs every time. And I told him, that's not fair. But he said, no, let me tell you, every time you have been through like tough times in your relationship, you've given us hit songs. So we have to keep on doing that. We look for a woman who's going to break your heart. And then that's the time you run. I'm like, all right. But that's the reality.
Interesting. Yeah, that's so true. You got to go through these hardships in order to get material. It's kind of crazy how you can't just sort of sit in your home and gather the material. We have to get out there and go through the meat grinder of some nature to get some material.
That's very true. Somehow, we all have our own ways. I write, of course, when I'm not, heartbroken or something, when I'm happy. But I've realized that all my hits have been like when I have been through a certain rough patch, and I've realized I've written like really good songs.
Absolutely. And maybe we can say that some of the best musicians are the ones who can capture that moment, capture that emotion that they're having, and sort of encapsulate it and then separate themselves from it to perform it in a presentable manner, so that they don't allow themselves to get in the way of the message. It's sort of like once you can allow yourself to do it and then encapsulate it, that's where it comes together.
That is very true, because we cannot just make it about ourselves only. It has to be also about you who's going to listen. So the idea, or even when I'm teaching songwriting, when I teach the young musicians, I always tell them, even if it's about you, don't make it about you. Make it about somebody else. That means get out of yourself and then start look at yourself as a stranger.
Right.
So pick yourself on the other side, and what do you see? Now start writing, from that angle, because then you will affect everybody else. And also start to, when you're writing, think as a listener. Would I listen to this? Will it really make me wake up in the night or in the morning and I'm like, I want to listen to this, But at the end of the day, you got to be the artist when you're writing in order to give it that artistic feeling,
Absolutely.
But you have to relate to everybody.
You have to think about how they're going to receive it. And I mean, if you're capturing a moment that you went through, the world's a small place and we go through a lot of similar things. So at the same time, if you can really or honestly put out some things, a lot of times we just don't want to put it out because we don't know if anybody can relate. And you know what? I mean, sometimes you got to just do it, try it. And then it's like the response is insane. That's
very true. And that's how it's been, at least with the SINA. the lockdown hasn't been so friendly, so the video is not yet ready. Let's hope at least this month we can do the video. I've been just trying to think about the ways of doing this video.
That's exciting.
Because it, you know, when you plan something, it comes on and you're like, okay, we're gonna go here, we will film from this location, we'll use that location, we're gonna do this and this, and then boom, before you know it, everything is closed down. And you're like, okay, so now I have to think of the other plan. Okay, what do I do? How do I do it to make it just still look good as I, you know, pictured it? How it, you know. So let's hope at least these few weeks that I'll be able to sit down with my fellow director, and then we do that and see that at least we come up with a very decent video that will match the song itself.
Absolutely. Necessity is the mother of all creation. So I'm sure when you guys get together, you're going to put some great ideas together. And I'm sure Finland has a lot of great shooting locations. How are the shooting locations out there with regards to that? A lot of outdoors things, or is it sort of have to align with what you're trying to shoot? Obviously, we want it to be in line with what you want to shoot, and we don't have to put anything out there with regards to how you want to shoot it. But I have so many questions with regards to the song. Have you played the track for, can I ask you this? Have you played this, or do you know if your ex has heard this song and things of that nature?
Actually, the weird part is that when we had separated, I think it was like after some months, so because it was always like in out, oh no, yes, okay, I'm gone, I'm like, I'm done. It's like, no, but then somebody's like comes by, it's like, hey, no, I still want us maybe to talk. And then I remember I was in Zanzibar with the late Oliver Mtukuzi, and we stepped on stage jamming. So we were jamming, and then finished the jam with, you know, because all musicians could come up, and, you know, and after that, they called me back on stage, ladies and gentlemen, from Finland, we have Mad Eyes. Okay. All right, okay. Went back on stage. The old man sat aside to listen to what I'm going to do just alone. And then I started playing SINA. She was there with her friend. The whole audience went crazy about the song. That was the first time I played a song to the audience, because what I do is I write my songs, I register them, you know, just to be copyrighted. And then I start playing them on my gigs and all my concerts. I play the songs just to test if you like the song, or does it feel familiar to you? You know, if I see that this song feels familiar to you, and if you can sing with me, I'll just in the first chorus, then I know this is a song for the people. And that's what happened. So I performed it. And then when I finished, her friend came and told me, brother, that feels like to my sister. And I'm like, oh, how did you know that? And she's like, I can feel every word is like you're just directing it to her. And I'm like, sometimes we just have to, sometimes we have to say things as they are. And she's like, well, it's one hell of a song. I love it. And for some reason, she also just reached out just a few days ago, and she's like, I love the song.
There you go.
Yeah. So we have no problems. And she asked, why did you write out, and I'm like, is there anything I lied? I just say the truth, And she's like, yeah, it's actually a very good song. I'm like, okay, good.
And that's what it is, because you, like you said, you put it all out there, and it's exactly how you were feeling. So
yeah. I just basically spoke my feelings. I just said how I felt, but also I tried to make sure that it's not just completely about me. It's about also the listener. I want them to feel that I'm representing them. I want them to say, this is talking about me, So as much as it's about me, it has to be about the fans. It has to be about the listeners. They have to be feeling that. And that's what has been going on all around. And I'm happy.
Can I ask you this? When you were changing the song, when you went back into it after years had gone by, you said you heard it and you heard what was there, and you said, we got to make the appropriate adjustments, and then we're going to put it out if it allows, if it's the right thing. When you were changing it, because sometimes we capture something at the moment, how much did you change it? Because granted, you were a different person, right, when you were hearing certain things. So I imagine you were like, ooh, should I keep that one in there? Should I, was there a lot of that? Or
actually, the most amazing part about that is that the vocals you hear, those are the vocals I recorded like 4 years ago.
Wow.
My vocal range is very different every year. The more I grow, the older I get, my voice changes a little bit, little by little. And what you hear there is the original recording.
Wow.
What we had to change was just the drum pattern. There was something which was not working. So all the time I said, and then when I was in the band rehearsals with my musicians, I told my drum, hey, let's go through this song because we were supposed to do a performance. And I told him, let's go through this. Then I was like, no, it's not working. Let's go. Let's try this out. Let's try this. So we started now going back and forth with my drummer. And at the end of the day, it's like, this is the good groove. This is the right groove now. So let's record it live. Send me the tracks of you, like you record everything live. And then I'll go in the studio and, maybe just put that on. And then he's recorded and there was some kind of glitch in the recording. So we couldn't use it to make the adjustments. So what we did was sit down and we're like, hey, okay, get in the MIDI files. All right, let's go in the MIDI track. Remove here. This is snare should be here. The track this is the rhythm. That's it. So we listened to exactly what we played live and then just adjust it there. And that was it. And then, of course, we had to maybe just a few little things, just tweaking maybe on the compression. And then, okay, maybe I need now to feel just to be in my face, the vocals. Okay, maybe here. That's what we did. And then I was like, I want to record the vocals again. And Herman, the one who's producing the song, is like, no. The feelings in this song is right on. It is spot on. We cannot do that. Right. And I told him, I think my voice is, he's like, yeah, I know. Your voice has changed in the 3 years, within the 3 years. But the feeling in this song is just amazing. I don't know. I don't understand all the things that you're singing, but it just makes me feel like I want to cry. And I'm like, good. Right. If that's how you feel, then we're not touching the vocals. And that's how we did it.
Wow, because there's a lot to say about that, because sometimes even if there's more talent, it's more about how invested you were in the moment with what was taking place. And like your friend said, like your drummer said, you know what, we don't need to change it. Everything you captured in this moment, we feel that, and we don't need to change anything.
Exactly. Usually when I write, I try, if I'm saying that I'm going to the studio, I try to make sure that everything is ready. However, I'm a guy who's going to record a song and I'm going to sit on it like 3 months or 4 months. I'm listening. I do the basics and then we sit down. I'm like, okay, does it work? It doesn't work. Sometimes I can do a song within just 2 days or 3 days and we're done. I'm like, I like it. Let it go. But there are songs that I sit down with and I don't know why, but I tend to do that. I have one song in my 2000 and that's a 2007 Maneno album. It's called Carolina. I have 3 versions of that song. I remember my ex-wife complains, like, do you know how much money we spent on recording this song over and over? Who is Carolina? And I'm like, it's not a woman, it's the song. Because I remember flying to Kenya, producing one of the then was the. He was nominated to be one of the best gospel recording artists. Producers in Kenya team. And then I was there, but I had already recorded here in Finland and I didn't get that. I was like, I need to get that African authentic kind of like sound. I flew to Kenya, spent money, paid the studio, we recorded. And after that, I sat down, I listened to it. I was in Tanzania. I flew to Tanzania after like a few days and I'm listening to the song. I'm like, no, something is not right. I came back and we were here with my band, went and were in Bosnia performing. And then I'm asking my guitarist, does that sound right to you? And he's like, what? It sounds perfect. I'm like, no, it doesn't sound right. 2008, we've already released the album in 2007. 2008, I took the whole band in the studio again. And I'm like, guys, we're going to record this. And like, which song? I'm like, Carolina. But we have a new arrangement. It's going to be Afro rock. Let's go. And that's a version nobody has ever heard of that song, like that version. But nobody's heard it. No one has had that version. Only a few friends, but to release it as an official release, no. But when you hear it, the way the guys play it, it's amazing. I'm like, wow. And then after listening to it, I'm like, now I think because that recording was 2008, I can do the vocals again because now I have better vocals. I can redo the vocals again, and then, we can release it. But that's how I am with my songs. There are some specific songs that I'm going to sit with them, redo them again until I find that right thing in them. And that's one of them also.
Well, I have a lot of respect for that, because that just means you really need the recipe to sit, and you need it to just cook and really come together sonically for you. Like you said, you needed this sound, and you kept getting close. I'm sure if anybody else would have heard it, they would have thought nothing was wrong with it. But you, as the artist, you knew sonically you were trying to capture something else, something you were finding it. You were getting there, but you had to narrow it down even closer, because that's the type of artist you are.
That's very true. It's people always, when they listen to what you do, for them, they're very happy. Wow, what a song. Why isn't it released? I'm like, are you kidding me? That's a demo, So, and they're like, this is a demo. Okay. All right. So what is the finished product? And I'm like, the finished product is what you've heard, all the major releases you've heard. Those are my finished work. And what about this? I'm like, it's not yet, So that's how I work. I criticize my work a lot. I sit down, I record. Even if you tell me it's ready, I'll tell you, wait a minute. I need to have, at least to have some time and listen to this work over and over, at least for a week, or just listen today and tomorrow and then leave it. For a week, I don't listen to it. I don't do anything, or 2 weeks, and then open it again. And then I'll be like, okay, either there's something wrong or we are fine. Everything is fine. Let it go. So, but I think then I don't have anybody to blame after that. It's only me to blame, because I'm the one who says it's done. I make that final choice. So that final call, I make it, and I'm always happy that I don't have anybody to blame.
So it sounds like you have a group that's willing to make those investments with you to jump into the track, right? Because it sounds like when you said you wanted to get back into Carolina, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, that you guys wanted to. When you wanted to get back into that track, they were like, were they open to it? Was there a little bit of pushback? How was that when you wanted to get back into the track?
The way I work is basically I've been Mad Eyes without having anybody, let's say, as a band. Yeah,
right.
So when I produce my work, and I work, let's say you're a producer, I'm a producer. When I come with you, we sit down and say, what are we going to produce today? This is what we're going to produce. My musicians who play live with me, they're not part of that. Unless I say we're going to do a live recording in the studio, like the whole album, or we're going to record, or let's say a whole song is going to be like a live tracking, that we're going to have drums live, guitar live, everything. Then that is the only time, at least, I make sure that I also feel comfortable. We go through the rehearsals, we rehearse the song until I feel like, okay, now it's fine. How do you guys feel it? Is there any suggestion? Then they'll be like, oh, how about here? And I'm like, I give room for suggestion. And if it feels right, I'm like, oh, let's do it. Let's change here,
So you need to have a little bit of that room for collaboration, right? Sometimes they'll bring a little bit of that spice that you have to be like, okay.
Yes, because they are very talented musicians. Now, when it comes to, let's say, Carolina, it's a very old song. And that time I had a different band, different musicians. And only one, I think, my guitarist has been the one who has survived. He's been playing with me since then, since 2007. He's been playing up to now with me. So all others have been new musicians, but I think now they all have at least 10 years, I try to keep my musicians,
Absolutely.
And, so, but they know the thing that I sit down, I write the songs, I make the final call, and it's a little bit different to them because they say this is a different genre to us. And I have to show them that this is how it should sound. This is the sound I want to hear. If you play, let's say, the rhythm as a drummer, yes, I like you straight up one, the 1-2 beats and all that. But this is how it should be. Let's take it a little bit to some, let's have some Afro rhythm somewhere here, But I've also tried to say, how can I say, like, it's been always that my melodies are the one which are more African. But when you listen to the sounds, they're completely more like Western pop or something like that. That's how it's been. So it's been a little bit easy for the musicians to just, pick up and play. If, let's say, I programmed it, we just did like studio electronic kind of production. whereby usually you find that either the piano is going to be live or the guitar is going to be live. The drums, always the fills and everything, usually because the producer I work with, Hermani, he plays drums. So we try to make everything sound as, you know, if it's about, get that live feeling. And then we start to play. When we go to play these songs on stage, I change everything. The arrangement for my live performances is very different. You might hear some songs and you're like, I know this song. Oh, it sounds so different or lively when it comes to a live performance. I'm like, exactly, that's how it should be, you know? So that's what I do. I change, I flip them. And then most of the time I'm forced, actually. I think that's why I end up recording 2 versions or 3 versions of the song, because I can have electronically produced sound and then I go to perform it live and then I try to play it exactly as it is on a record and it doesn't work. And then you're like, hey, how would you play this song if we are playing live? You let them jump. You know, if I feel like, okay, now I just want to hear someone's opinion. And then from there, change it to a live version. A live version, if it sounds really, really good, then I'm forced to go to the studio and record with the whole band, that version also to have it. So that's the way basically I work.
That's very interesting. So once you get rid of that barrier, you said, instead of sticking to the original version of the song, let's get rid of that barrier and allow the creative freedom to just play a live version. And you've found that with that, you get a much more exciting version of the song. You get variety and you get the moment and what's taking place sonically at that moment.
Yeah. And on the live performances, basically a song which you thought might be just an easy ballad. I'm like, guys, how does it feel if we swing it? How is it in jazz? How do we jazz this song? Because I have a jazz pianist. I have like great musicians, you know. These are guys who have studied, like really top musicians. I'm the only guy who's never been to music school, you know. But all my guys, there's a music teacher, there's the other one is a jazz pianist, there's a saxophonist. And I tell them, okay, so how do we do it? You know, let's do maybe some reggae. Okay, let's change here and all that. And then like, all right, let's go, you know. So I just try to show them that I appreciate what they do. I really appreciate their talent, you know. So why not play around? Because live, I do believe when you see someone playing live, it has to be an experience of its own. It has to be something that takes you to a certain journey, you know. And that's what I love. I love being on with my musicians live on stage. If it's, let's say, with just a guitar and we start playing, I just want you to listen to SINA, but when you listen to it, when I'm just with the guitar, you'll be like, wow, that's a different thing, you know.
Right.
But I always try to make sure that at least I take you to a certain journey with the song when it comes to live. You, as a band leader or as a musician, as a lead, you have to know exactly what you're doing in order to lead people. If you don't know, then it's going to be one of the most difficult tasks is exactly leading a group. A band is very difficult. They're complicated. Everyone has their own schedules. Everyone has their own mind. Everyone has their own styles they prefer. Everyone has a genre that they prefer playing, you know. Now,
absolutely.
And then you come up, you're just this guy. You come in a country whereby people they love rock music. It's heavy rock, you know, down here. Now you come in with your styles. It's Afro pop, it's Afro soul, it's everything. I'm a dancehall artist. Sometimes I do dancehall. That's, I can say, I started from those ends, and then I changed to Afro soul. Now you're giving them something which is somehow new or too new. And some they're a little bit might be familiar, and then you tell them, go listen to this. When we meet up, we play. So I always have something I send to them. That's a new song. Oh, is that a new song? Like, okay, listen to it, and then we catch up next week and we start rehearsing.
Take inspiration, and then we'll get back together. Like
exactly. So when they hear, let's say, like SINA, I said we do not change a thing in SINA live. So that means you have to be on it just the way it is. The drum, I'm like, you're going to use a click because I want it to be on the same tempo. I don't want to change anything. Or even if you're not going to use a click, but remember, the tempo remains the same and the groove has to be the same. I don't want to hear any change, because if I hear any change, it's going to take me back to the days where I didn't release it before. because the groove wasn't right. Now we have the right groove and you play exact that groove. You know, for that song, it is played exactly as you hear it. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it works. That's the good thing, that it works when it's played exactly like that. It works.
Oh, absolutely. I hear you. All right, you guys. Coming up after our commercial break, we're going to talk to Mad Ice, some more about his music, and much more. So we're back with Mad Ice. He's a musician from Finland. He's a singer-songwriter and a music producer. We're talking about his track, SINA, currently out. Where can we find SINA, Mad Ice?
SINA is available on all major digital platforms. So we're talking about iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, and, you know, and also there's Boomplay Music, AudioMac, and, you know, Amazon, and all other major, you know, digital platforms. You can find there, SINA. And soon we'll have, hopefully, we'll have the video at least this month, and it will also be available on YouTube. But right now you can get it at least from one of your favorite digital platforms, music platforms. You can just search for SINA, Mad Ice, and you'll have it.
Very nice, very exciting. And so we'll be looking out for the music video, because the track is amazing. And I know that once you're able to put that idea together, we don't have to put out any specific dates because you can't rush excellence, but it's going to be very exciting to see it come out when it does.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
Mad Ice, can I ask you about your name, actually? Where did we get Mad Ice from?
Well, Medi or Madi is more my name. Like some people call me Madi, those who know me, and my mom calls me Medi. But when I was in school, I used to be MC Madi. That's how I started. I started as MC Madi. And nice. Ice is a nickname from one of the DJs who pushed and was always trying to help me to get the microphone. You know, I started as a roadie. You know, we'll go just, you know, take speakers and everything, do the wiring in the mobile discotheque. That's what I used to do. You want to get a microphone? You got to carry those speakers. You got to do this. You got to load. You got to everything. And after that, you get the microphone. But then this DJ realized that actually this boy is talented. So he kept pushing. His name was Caesar. I remember it was a very short guy that used to stand on a crate, and I'm standing down, and he stands on a crate, and then he DJs, and one hell of a DJ. So one day he's like, hey, the boss is here, and I want him to see that you're really good at this. Now, when he told me the boss is here, and then he's giving me a microphone in a second, and then we have all these, you know, we had like lots of students from different areas, you know, the mobile techs, what they used to do in the villages. So we could set up somewhere and they put like tarpaulins, like an enclosure everywhere. So they come and pay, they come in. So you have students who could kind of escape from schools just to come and, you know, dance, just enjoy. Right. And then some of them are from my school. I'm like, oh God. And then, you know, there's some girls you like, oh my God, she's there. And then the boss who you want him to hire you. They tell you that's a minute, man. You gotta freeze at the end of the day. So he gives me the microphone. I'm like, yeah, what up? Hey, what's up? Are you feeling nice? Are you cool? He's like, oh God. And it's like, you know, you gotta do something. But he knew what triggers me. And then he plays an instrumental. I think either it was Mother She Wrote or something, a dancehall. And then I did ragamuffin, I think that time. And then I started singing. Then everyone is like, okay, this is very, very different. You know, I started just jamming, you know, 3 tracks nonstop. And then this guy, the owner of the discotheque, came and is like, young man, from today, you don't leave the microphone. And I was nice. Like, thank you. You know, so when I finished, Caesar is like, you know what? MC Muddy, how about Mad Tiger? But I'm like, Mad Tiger exists in the US. And I'm like, oh man, let's say Mad Blue. And I'm like, no, it doesn't sound like how Mad Ice. You know, you have this cooling effect and you're telling people how are they feeling cool and all that. What the heck was that? How about Mad Ice? I'm like, Mad Ice sounds good. Okay, I'll be MC Mad Ice. And since then, I took the name, you know.
Mad
I
Ice.
kept it, and then after that, I took off the MC. However, I'm an MC, yes. I host events, and here in Finland, I've been the host of one of the biggest Afro events called the Afro Sunday. So you always see MC Mad Ice written, or sometimes when I do dancehall tunes, always the intro you will hear Mad Ice in the area. So you know that's gonna be MC Mad Ice, you know, coming up. So it depends with the style of the tune. If it's gonna be more up tempo and all that, you'll hear. I always say MC Mad Ice as an intro.
Hey man,
So,
big respects to you for that moment where you had people from school, you had all the cute girls, you had your bus. The moment was there, and you like you said, you were talking maybe a little too much, or you just didn't know what you were saying because there's so much pressure. And you said, you know what? Let's go right into the music. Let's let the work speak for itself. And then you let all those emotions that were kind of just like gathering, and you said, let's just put it out. And then that's all it is. You let the work speak for you, and you got right into it, and they loved you. They loved everything about it and the name, and that's truly amazing. That's very inspirational. I'm sure it's going to be very inspirational for our audience to hear that, because sometimes you go up to a stage and you freeze, and then they don't move forward with how you were able to. You did that leap, and now here you are, a successful musician.
yeah, I think all I have to tell, I've seen many young musicians through the years. So almost 20 years I'm doing music professionally. And they always say, like, what do I do now? I have stage fright. I have these. Oh, I cannot do these. You're like, what? What do you mean that? But you cannot. You can do it. Just believe in yourself. Everyone out there is just waiting to see what you've given them. And I tell people, learn to own anybody in front of you. Own them. You're the boss. Once you stand up there, you're the boss, not them. Just remember, of course, they can throw bottles at you if you do something which is not really cool, but you own them. So find the way to own them, give them
Absolutely.
the best of you, and trust me, they will love you. They will love you. Don't be afraid. And once you start, everything just goes on, just goes on. That's good.
That's truly amazing, Mad Ice. So there you go. You put it out organically, and it will be reciprocated to you in the same way, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you put yourself forward, and if it's not reciprocated well, at least you can say, well, those are the audiences that I don't need to worry about. And now I can focus on my audience, because, it's always about you doing you and letting your audience that you need to find you, because that's the only way to do it, right? You can't please everyone. Sonically, musically, right? I mean, how has it been for you getting your sound in that way, right? You can't please everyone.
Yeah, you can never actually. Yeah, that's very true. Everyone has their own cup of tea, Yep. So some love green, others they love black, others they love white tea and all that. So, and you can't be all. You gotta be one. You just have to be one. Others they love only hot chocolate. So you gotta choose. And you pray that at least you're the best, might be hot chocolate out there, that people, when they taste, they're like, oh, wow, I love this. They tell other people to come and follow. So that's how
that's the best hot chocolate I've ever had.
Exactly. So it is the same with our art and everything we do. If it's a business or whatever you're doing, just remember, you're just only you. You are unique, and that's your power. Now, what is it that you give? What is that unique proposition that you've given to the people? So make sure that when somebody tests a little bit of you, they get addicted right away. That's
Absolutely.
what you have to do all the time. And no matter how much they tell you that there's that might be this place they it's not easy, it's not going to be easy. No, there will always be people who are going to love what you do. For Finland, of course, when it comes to music, it's a difficult kind of like world, I can say. And it's very small. We have only 6 million people, considering where I come from, whereby just the capital is over 6 million people. So when I get here, I feel like you kind of like feel like you're like a big fish in small waters, However, People don't get to realize that, because for them, they know what is just here until they get to dig more. That, oh, so this is the person we're dealing with, you know. However, it doesn't help a lot, because when we look at, let's say, on the music I do is not the music you're gonna find on media radio like major stations here. They don't play that kind of music. It's only about, let's say, maybe some Billboard top 10 or top 40s. You can get some of them, and the rest is just Finnish music. And I said I don't sing Finnish, but I'm on festivals. Every festival I can go to, that's good. You know, I perform on different like concert halls. I perform. You know, that is a good thing, because it shows you that, okay, there's someone who comes in your concert. When there's a concert hall and they've booked it and you're there performing and it's full, that means that people love what you do. But unfortunately, on radio stations, we do not have that luxury. We don't get that luxury to be played on radio stations here, because they have a different way of running things, which I think is very different from the US. I think they always just appreciate any talent that comes by. So I don't know how it is there.
Well, you know what? The interesting thing about today is that it's really awesome to know that the artist has a lot of the control today, right? You can put it out on things like Spotify, these platforms, Apple Music, and being that is the way it is, once you can navigate your audience and gain that exposure, a lot of them have way more plays than these radio hits, or they have just a bigger audience, because you're navigating your environment versus letting your environment sort of be dictated for you, and you're trying to play catch up. You know, it's a lot better to have the keys to the vehicle than to be in the back seat.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think we as musicians we are grateful actually to all these platforms, because now I don't really mind about not having my song. Of course, it will be sent by my management. We'll send it out to all the radio stations, but we just know it might be the the national radio station might be will play, might be. You know, and might be another one. There's, I think, like 2 who have been playing some of my music, because you can see it, well, you know, in your royalty reports, you can see who is paying you. But the rest, you're like, you know, I don't care. You play, you don't play. I know where my money comes from, and then I know who is listening, you know. And when you go out there, there are other countries where people really appreciate what you do. And it's just because of these, platforms. So I had taken a little break more like for a while. And now I said, oh, it's time back, you know, to get back and start like really pushing more and give people what they've been waiting for long, because I had taken a little bit long. But now these platforms, you're like, you know what? People, they look for you, everyone. They're like, hey, we've not seen you here. Why is your music not here? Or why isn't there anything new now here? And you're like, oh, all right, I'm coming. You know,
there's people waiting to hear the new music.
Yeah, so they keep pushing, but also I decided that also that from this year onwards, we agreed with my management that it's going to be that I have at least to have 3 releases every year. I've been a guy who releases 1 song in a year or 2, or 1 or 2, or sometimes 1 in 2 years, and I keep quiet. Reason being is that's how I started my career. I'm a guy who does not rush. I release 1 song. Those years, a song could stay, you know, on charts for like a whole year. Why should I interrupt it? You know,
right? Absolutely.
You know, I didn't have to interrupt the song. I just let it be there on the charts, and then I go around touring and do my shows, and then come back. Now everything has changed, you know, but I still kept it. I still kept that thing that I just released 1 song in a year, and I keep quiet. 1 song in a year, and I keep quiet. I like to let people listen to the music, understand it, because there's the format of today, and even when you look into East Africa, where that's like where my biggest fan base is, people are releasing a song every month, and then you ask them, what was the other song which was released during? They don't even remember sometimes. Or what song? I don't even remember how it goes. You know, that to me is a waste of talent, you know, and material. If I can't remember what you released like 3-4 months ago, and you have in between, you have like 4 other songs there, and we don't remember right now what is playing, that's what we know. That means you're doing something wrong. You know, even though they're saying it's the right way, we have to go, just like in the US out there. I'm like, how does the US go? And everyone has their own way of like thinking,
Operating.
and also trying to say, oh, but this is how it's done here. In
Mhm.
Europe, it's done this. And I'm like, not really. You know, I think you should have a plan of how you release your things and how. But of course, yes, people are doing frequent releases. Even in Europe and the US, I can see artists doing that. But for me, with the music whereby people need to listen and understand what you're saying, that I believe that they deserve a chance of like 3 months, 4 months, listening just to that song. You know, I write a song which might seem to be, it might seem simple to you right now when you listen to it, if you speak my language. However, with those few lines, it might take you maybe even a year to understand exactly what I meant. So I always ask people, they ask me, oh, what do you think about the music in the East Africa and, you know, like in Europe? Or why is it that your music stays longer and it's been played, it sounds relevant up to now, and the others is kind of like, you know, disappears? And I'm like, the point is that the music I write, I try to think of it as music that will play in your head, or it will play on radio stations 10 years to come. So I take my little time to do that with the, you know, like with a few ingredients that I have that might sound simple, but at the end of the day, that simplicity is what is going to keep that song in your head, and you want to play it all the time. And the quality stays all the time. You want to play it, you know, you just want to play it all the time. And I tell them, when I listen to the likes of Bryan Adams, Lionel Richie, I grew up listening to those guys, Don Williams, Dolly Parton, you know, I grew up listening to those guys, and I sang their music when I was little. As an African kid, you imagine me singing Jolene, you know, you know, or Card of the County and all that. And then I listen to that music up to now. It still sounds so good, you know. That for me, that's where my roots are when it comes to writing. How, and then thinking goes, how should I keep music, you know, relevant to people, and also the quality and something, you know, that people can still think of all the time. So that's where I come. I release something and I'm like, have it for like, you know, for the longest time you can, and then I'll release another one, you know, because I want you to understand the song. And when I ask you today, do you understand the real meaning of that song? You're like, yes, I understood it. I understood it, you know. But when you release frequently, nobody has the time to listen even to the 3-4 sentences and analyze them. They only dance to the beat. That's it. Okay, where's the new one, you know? And then there will be, oh, where's another one? There is the new one. But they do not analyze your music or understand it, you know. So I've been giving that room. But that being said, room is going to be still there that you can have the song for 3-4 months, listen to it, understand it, and then I'll release another one. So we're expecting at least a new release in June or July.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Well, after you just said what you said, we're excited for the release. And when it comes out, it's going to be great because you're able to really let these things come together as they need to.
Pushing all the time.
Very nice, Mad Ice. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Mad Ice. I appreciate you for your words, your wisdom, providing us with all of your wise advice that our audience is going to love to hear. It's very inspiring to hear someone like you who started on that stage and had everybody's eyes on you, and you were able to take all those emotions and use your music and put it out there. And here you are today. You got music coming out. You say you're moving forward with putting out even more music on top of being able to sit on wonderful music just so that it seasons just right.
Yeah, man. But thanks for having me. And yeah. So it's been quite a journey, you know. It's been quite a journey, and I'm happy, you know. It's gonna be almost 20 years, so it's been a good one. It's been a good journey, and I think it's just it gets better by age because you get wiser, you write better, and even voice-wise, you know, you grow how you sound. So we are hoping for the best, and I think if it wasn't for Corona, or once this whole pandemic slows down, or there's the lockdowns are a little bit on ease, I think I might be paying a visit to the US just to come and spread at least some music and give some live performances to the people.
All right, Mad Ice, how can we find you on social media?
Well, it's I use just almost the same, name tag, name ID. It's just Mad Ice Official. Mad Ice Official on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I have to admit, I'm not so active on Twitter. I'm most of the time you find me on Instagram. It's a very easy tool to use, so you find me there. But yes, you can follow me on all those social media platforms. Yes, by looking for Mad Ice Official, and you will find me.
All right.
And enjoy the music.
All right. We definitely will. Mad Ice, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're looking forward to having you on again in the future to follow up with future projects and all the success you've had and everything that's been brought into fruition. So as for now, it's been a great pleasure.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.